Welcome to NarrativeNook audio tales where enchanted stories come to life. If you enjoy our stories, please subscribe, like and share to support our channel. Enjoy listening.
Looking at the beach not far away, Sophia sighed and said, "Do you still remember what happened during Anastasia's wedding? I nearly got washed away by the sea. When I saw you dashing to help me, I was really moved then." Arthur rubbed her head. "You still have the cheek to mention that, eh? You're forbidden from going to any dangerous places from now on. I can't be at your side at all times, after all. But, it's so strange. I never found myself in such situations before I met you. Ever since I stuck with you, it's either I nearly drowned at sea or rolled down a hill. Fortunately, you were always there to save me." Having said that, she hugged his waist and looked up, still a bit baffled that the man in front of her was her boyfriend now. He hugged her tightly while promising, "With me by your side, you'll be safe and sound for the rest of your life. We'll be safe and sound." This made Sophia a little teary-eyed. A thought then came to her mind as she asked him in a serious tone, "Young Master Arnold, I have a question for you, so please answer me sincerely." "Yes?" Arthur also became serious, not wanting to answer perfunctorily. "With your status, you must have had a lot of girls swarming you since you were young, so why did you choose me?" She had a very curious gaze. Looking down at her bright eyes, Arthur felt like she resembled a flower blooming in summer, as there was an inexplicable charm to her. The thing he loved about her was her smile, though it had hints of silliness. It always soothed him and made him feel like life was full of joy just by being with her. Yet, when mentioning what trait made him fall for her, he only wanted to say that she brought a sense of life into his world. Being with her made him feel comfortable and natural, which prompted him to envision his future with her. Since his young age, Arthur had always been surrounded by exceptional ladies from prominent families and even nobles, as their desires and ambition were always on full display. Hence, when Sophia appeared, she was like a ray of sun that pierced through his ironclad heart. Reaching out, Arthur did not answer her. Instead, he gently hugged her and kissed her head twice. "You shouldn't underestimate your charms. To me, you're unique and irreplaceable," he whispered. "But, I'm dumb," she replied while still in a haze. Rubbing her hair with his jaw, he answered dotingly, "It's fine. I don't need those from you. I just need to be the first person you think of whenever you're in danger, and the person you come home to whenever life gets hard." Sophia felt her heart skip a beat upon hearing this, as she laughed out loud while embracing him tightly. To her, this was the highest form of confession she could receive. It was even more romantic than hearing an "I love you." In a blink of an eye, Friday came as the banquet by Pressgrave Group was organized. Being the star of the event, Anastasia appeared under the lenses of the media while holding her husband's hand. Since they needed to reach the venue earlier, she stepped out of the car in a light gold dress in the evening. The dress, which was exquisite and glamorous, accentuated her beautiful figure and charisma. Even under the scrutiny of the flashing cameras, her naturally beautiful face was flawless. Appearing in front of the media for the first time since a long while, Elliot appeared handsome while not losing his dominating aura, which made the surrounding women gasp and scream. It was apparent that even after his marriage, this could not stop the ladies from admiring him. Yet, he paid no heed to all this, as he naturally held his wife's hand gently and walked together on the red carpet while the reporters made sure to capture this affectionate moment. From adjusting her dress to holding her bag, his gaze never left his wife, as if nobody except his wife mattered to him. Meanwhile, in a high-end dress shop. Since Sophia was also invited, Arthur brought her to a dress shop to pick out a gown. After personally selecting a dress, he had his lady try it out, and it fit unexpectedly well. Thanks to the pearls and diamond, it was a very flashy dress, and she looked like a princess after matching it with her fair skin. Although Sophia had not dressed so formally or even wore high heels in a long time, her figure that had been trained through dancing still stood out very much in the dress. With a well-defined collarbone and shoulder lines, her fair skin and clear gaze made her look like a goddess. Arthur, who was flipping through the magazine, could not take his eyes off her the moment he looked up. On the other hand, Sophia pursed her lips embarrassingly as she turned away, not daring to face his passionate gaze. "We'll take this dress." The owner then stepped up and smiled before explaining, "Sir, I'm not sure if you are aware of this, but due to the brand of the dress, it is only available for sales and not for rental, as this dress belongs to one of our exclusive collections. However, we can rent out the jewelry and heels that Miss Goodwin is currently wearing." "How much does the dress cost?" Sophia asked out of curiosity while having a feeling that it must fetch a pretty penny. "This dress is a piece from the top designer, Ola. It costs 8 million. Suddenly, the light and airy dress immediately weighed a ton, making Sophia feel a shortness of breath. 8 million for a dress? No, thanks. We'll pay by credit card. Including the jewelry and shoes too. I don't like the word rent. Arthur took out his black card. Sophia was stunned. Wait, what? He's going to buy this? Artie, how about we discuss this for a bit before coming to a decision? She walked over and asked gently. Smiling, he replied, "No need for that. I like this look on you very much." She closed in and whispered, "Isn't your bank account frozen? I don't want you spending this much money." Not being able to explain all this, Arthur did have his cards frozen, but his income did not depend solely on the family, as he did some trading since he was bored lately with the money he borrowed from loan sharks. "Does she think I am a poor man just because of this?" He patted her reassuringly. "It's fine. 8 million is just a number. I could even give up my life for you." Exiting the shop, Sophia found a black-colored Bugatti parked in front as she blinked her eyes in confusion. Where did he conjure this out from? A man then walked over and handed the keys over to Arthur. "Mr. Arnold, I hope you have a lovely evening. Where did this car come from?" "I just bought it." Sophia looked at him in shock. Naturally, this car was not just bought, as he had specially imported this from abroad. It had been his possession all along. On the way to the banquet, she felt like she was eloping with a rich young master, for she felt both nervous and expectant as to what they might do tonight. This must be how it feels to be in love. I just want to experience everything wonderful with him. Arriving, Arthur alighted from his new car and opened the door for her before reaching his other hand out to Sophia. She naturally accepted the gesture, and they both walked to the main hall. Under the bright lights, the dashing couple instantly attracted everyone's attention as they whispered among themselves how dashingly good-looking the couple was. In the venue, Elliot was chatting with the guests when he saw Arthur arrive, so he excused himself and went to welcome him. "Artie." "Elliot." Arthur walked over and they bumped fists, which was their unique way to greet each other. Following that, Arthur then introduced the woman standing beside him. "Let me introduce you to my girlfriend, Sophia." "Nice to meet you, Mr. Presgrave." Sophia felt very honored to be able to greet Elliot. "Nice to meet you too." Elliot smiled and nodded. It was then that Anastasia also slipped away from the guests and came over as Sophia greeted her enthusiastically upon seeing her. "Hello, President Tillman." Approaching them, Anastasia praised the lady in gold. "You look very beautiful tonight, Sophia." "Thank you, President Tillman." Sophia always felt that Anastasia was more akin to an older sister that she never had. Even though they were a few years apart in age, the similarities in beliefs made them closer. "It's so formal of you to call me President Tillman. Just call me by my name from now on." Anastasia held her hands passionately. "You two continue on, Elliot. I'm going to chat with Sophia elsewhere." Arthur then went with Elliot to talk about topics common among men while Anastasia took Sophia to where Felicia and the others were. "That's your boyfriend, right, Sophia?" Grace asked straightforwardly. Somewhat blushing, Sophia nodded despite getting all shy. "Yep." "Wow. He's so handsome." "You sure are lucky, Sophia," Grace said enviously. Feeling their gazes, Sophia pursed her lips and smiled, thinking that she was indeed lucky to be able to meet him. "I'm so looking forward to our press conference abroad this time, Anastasia. I heard that a lot of celebrities are coming to support us." Grace clasped her hands together expectantly. "If you want to, you can come. I can sponsor the flight tickets and accommodation fees," offered Anastasia. "Yay! Our president is the best. I love you." Grace did a heart-shaped gesture. At that moment, someone appeared behind them and asked shamelessly, "Anastasia, could you bring me along too?" It turned out that the someone was Katrina. Turning around, Anastasia nodded. "Of course. Thank you for inviting me and my brother to this banquet, Anastasia. We're very honored." Katrina raised her cup in appreciation. Anastasia did not expose her, for she only invited Mason. She must have entered under the guise of Mason's partner. "I'll stop bothering you all now." Katrina walked away on her own accord, since she was here for fun and to target someone of higher status. It was then that she saw Arthur, the man of her dreams, while they were on the island, who was also standing beside Elliot. She had never thought that she would meet him at the event. With one look, she was able to discern that the man came from the top 1% and was the same kind of elite as Elliot. "If I can manage to seduce him, then I won't have to worry about the rest of my life." Katrina fixated her target on Arthur. At the same time, Sophia's appearance attracted a man that was Jacob. As this was an event hosted by the Presgrave Group, all the important members of the family were invited. As such, Jacob had never thought that he would bump into Sophia here. Tonight, she was heartachingly beautiful, as she looked like a lost deer in the forest, making her out to be a prize who anyone would love to capture. Adjusting his suit subconsciously, Jacob slicked his hair. Of course, he knew that Sophia came with Arthur, but he was still determined to show off his charms. Even till now, he did not know who Arthur really was. He could only assume that he hailed from a prominent family and that he was very secretive about his background, which was why he thought that Sophia's background could not match up to such an individual. Hence, he felt that he still had a chance. Breathing in deeply, Jacob walked towards Sophia while deciding to ask her for a drink at the balcony. Yet what he did not know was that Sophia had been in a man's focus throughout the whole night, as he could immediately detect whoever dared to approach his woman. "Excuse me for a moment," Arthur said to Elliot before walking toward Sophia. Just as Jacob mustered up his courage and was ready to greet Sophia, a man's low voice suddenly came from behind him. "Could you come here, honey?" With that, Sophia turned around to find two men standing behind her. Despite that, there was only one in her eyes as she blushed out of embarrassment. How could he call me honey in front of everyone? Still, she greeted Jacob out of courtesy. "Hello, Jacob." Then, she walked to Arthur's side and held his hands. Although Jacob looked fine on the outside, he felt like his heart was pricked, as it was somewhat uneasy and hard to swallow his feelings. Is this guy doing this on purpose? Did he show off his superiority in front of me intentionally? Who is this goddamn person? At that moment, he had made up his mind to teach Arthur a lesson. Clenching his teeth, he thought that he would make this Arthur fella pay for his insolence with his blood without exposing himself. The reason why Jacob was so confident was because he felt that Arthur was not a person from this country, even though he had a typical Caucasian look and was speaking their language. Furthermore, there was no prominent family within the country with the surname Arthur. Sophia, who was dragged away by Arthur, sat down inside a private room. Thinking that the man might have something important to convey to her, she was suddenly fed a piece of peach by him. "Try it." Seeing how enthusiastic he was, she could not reject him and took a bite. "Did you bring me in here just to feed me some fruit? You are too stunning tonight. I don't want another man to even look at you one more second, so just stay here and be with me," Arthur conveyed his thoughts straightforwardly. However, she was a bit dumbfounded at his words. Why does he sound so needy? It was then that another piece of peach appeared in front of her. As she was attracted by the taste of it, she naturally reached to take another bite. Yet, the man suddenly took it away and lowered his head to kiss her. Sophia's lips were suddenly making contact with his. Paired with the sweetness of the peach, Arthur nearly could not control himself and did not care about the setting anymore. He did not care whether a banquet was going on outside, nor did he care if anyone might stumble upon this scene. All he wanted right then was to have her all to himself. Sophia obediently laid in his embrace as she greedily absorbed his love at this unknown corner. While kissing, tears unexpectedly rolled on Sophia's face, for she felt an unknown sense of bitterness inside. There was this feeling that no matter how much she loved him, she might lose him someday. Hence, this kiss awoke in her love for him and became a reminder that the deeper she came to love him, the deeper in pain she would be. Tasting the salty tears, Arthur opened his eyes only to find the girl in his embrace had become teary-eyed. He clumsily wiped her tears before asking, "What's wrong? Did I make you uncomfortable?" "It's not that." While pursing her lips, she turned to face another direction. Although they had been very happy these days like a real couple, there was a nagging feeling inside her heart. She knew that they would not be together in the end because Martha would never allow her to marry her grandson. So, Sophia decided to forget about this and give her whole heart to him, thinking that she should live as happily as she could for now and cry when she finally lost him. The more she found herself loved by this man, the more she could not ignore the problem. Now, his love had become like a knife, slowly piercing her heart the more he cherished her. "Silly. Why are you crying, then?" He lowered himself and kissed her lips gently yet passionately while showing a gaze that he had never let any other women seen before. The cold and distant Arthur from before used to seem like he would never come to love any woman in this world, as if no one could ever occupy or flatter his heart. However, that Arthur no longer existed. He met a girl that had changed him, a girl that he could share his worries with. "I'm sorry. Sophia did not want to ruin such a blissful moment, as she really wanted every moment with him to be a happy one. Reaching out, Arthur rubbed her hair gently and kissed it. "I'm here. You don't have to overthink this." She did not dare to tell him about the fact that his grandmother had met with her before. All of a sudden, Sophia lay on him while deciding that she would do something tonight that she would never come to regret. This was because she feared that she had no time left to profess her love. She would not want to regret anything when the day he left came. After sitting in the room for a while, they then exited with Sophia returning to Grace before she started drinking red wine. "Let's get a bit tipsy tonight. If I get tipsy, I'll be able to let loose a little." On the other hand, Anastasia was chatting with some high-status women. Even though she was very young when compared to them, her background ensured that she had a dominating aura that followed her when conversing with these ladies. Naturally, she did not let this chance to establish some business deals slip away, as she had planned to grow her company into a renowned global jewelry brand, which needed the support of the upper society. This was why Anastasia was being so proactive in pushing her company. All of this was observed by Elliot. Watching his wife converse with those women calmly and elegantly made him realize how adorable and charming his wife was. He used to think that his wife would be one content with being a housewife. Now, she was focusing on her career like him. While fully supporting his wife's endeavors, all he strived for was the joy he felt whenever she achieved her success. Anastasia was getting along with one of the rich women when she met with her husband's gaze. Not forgetting to show her love even in this setting, she winked at him. This made Elliot smile involuntarily as all the other girls that fancied him presently saw this. Seems like the president only has eyes on his wife. He did not even glance at the other women here, no matter how beautiful they are. In a flash, Sophia had already finished 2 glasses of wine. With a flushed face, she still thought that she did not have enough as she wanted to continue drinking when a hand suddenly took the glass from her grip. "Why are you drinking so much?" The man had a low and upset voice. Arthur was standing beside her and had witnessed everything when she was drinking by herself. Turning around, she then burped at him and mumbled, "Nonsense." To the man who only focused his attention on her the entire night, he had plenty of evidence to prove that she indeed was drinking excessively. "I think you're drunk. Let's head home." Arthur did not want others to see her in such a state. "But isn't the hotel providing rooms tonight? Can we not return home?" Sophia requested. Of course, he did not refuse her as he agreed with a low voice. "Okay, then. I'll bring you upstairs to rest." Inside the elevator, the tipsy woman leaned into Arthur's arms to rest. Thanks to the alcohol, courage welled up inside her as she hugged him by the neck and asked, "Am I pretty?" Naturally, he batted his eyes at her and her beautiful features were accentuated by the bright lights. "Pretty? You're as magical as a goddess." "Did you drink so much just to muster your courage to ask this?" asked Arthur with a smile. Suddenly, Sophia closed in and whispered, "Nope. I want to do naughty things tonight." How could Arthur not know what she meant? Her words made him gulp and ask in a low tone, "Are you for real?" "Yep. I'm serious." She looked at him sincerely and nodded. Arthur now knew the reason why Sophia kept drinking. It was to boost her confidence to make a move on him. She had learned the tricks. Although he had been suppressing his desire well, it seemed like she could not rein it back anymore. A wasted Sophia was nestling in his arms as she had drank too much. When the elevator door opened, he had no choice but to carry her in bridal style. She gladly buried her face into his chest while she felt her body floating on the clouds. Inhaling the scent on him, her face began to burn. He opened the door and placed her on the couch. Since she was completely wasted, she might not be able to do anything regardless of how much she wished to. However, Sophia was seemingly eager about it as she beckoned him over with her finger. "You. Come right here." Arthur ignored her while he was busy switching on the curtain opener and the air conditioner. Plus, he would not accept any advances from her when she was still under the influence of alcohol. What if she deems it as a bad experience when she's sober? It will be my loss, then. "Artie, come over here," she sweetly called while lying on the couch. Yet, he only gave her a cup of water. "Have some water. Let's talk when you're sober." "No. I don't want to be sober." She shook her head, knowing that she would not have the guts to do the naughty things without a push from the alcohol. Arthur sat opposite her and declared in a serious tone, "You can only do things to me when you're sober or else, it's no deal." Sophia blinked her beady eyes. "Why won't you? This is your chance." Suddenly, jealousy surged within him as she would have been taken advantage of had she been with another man in this state. "Sophia Goodwin, promise me that I'll be the only one you want to do bad things with." "Got it," he ordered. However, she disagreed, "But you said that it's no deal, so why should I promise you?" Feeling helpless, Arthur stared at her before rising to his feet to approach her. "Are you sure you want it? You can't have me stop midway, though." Sophia wrapped her arms around his neck in response. "I swear." He held his breath as he felt her body burning like the sun, igniting his body into fire. Then, he stretched out his arms to carry her toward the bedroom. In a gruff voice, he replied, "As you wish." Even if it was still early, things were getting steamy in the bedroom. On the other side, Anastasia was feeling dizzy although she had attempted to control her alcohol intake. With red cheeks, she came to her husband and rested in his arms. Elliot wrapped his arms around her naturally. As a reward for the tiring night, he pecked on her head gently. "Let's go take a rest in the room." She smiled and whispered, "Jared is not around tonight. Any ideas on what we should do next?" At the sight of his beautiful wife cuddling in his arms, his voice became restrained and hoarse. "Well, I'll listen to you tonight. I'll stop when you're tired." Anastasia burst into laughter while resting her head on his chest to hide her chuckles. Needless to say, she was anticipating the night as well. Once the event was coming to an end, the employees tended to the guests by escorting them to their respective rooms so the couple could leave earlier. Standing not far away from them was Katrina, who was watching them leave with bitterness. Deep down in her heart, she could not forget the pathetic sight of Anastasia wandering alone in another country. However, the table had now turned. Anastasia was stunning and confident in front of everyone. That very fact alone had elicited jealousy in Katrina. Jacob, who shared the same fate as she did, approached her. "Kat, wanna have a drink together tonight?" Truth be told, she looked down upon someone like him. Although he was Mr. Presgrave too, his family business was not of the same league as the Presgrave Group. Its future was basically bleak. Even so, it was fine to have a little bit of fun. Sure. Katrina gladly accepted the invitation. In fact, Elliot owned the hotel. The moment Anastasia entered the room, the man who had promised to listen to her trapped her against the door with his blazing gaze upon her. "Sorry, sweetheart, but I'm not going to let you go tonight," he apologized before pressing his lips against hers aggressively. She was the only person who knew how he would behave after forsaking his sophisticated and cold image, which was shown to the public. Beneath that facade lay a beast. Still, it was early to determine who was the one in control tonight, as Anastasia was the siren waiting for her husband to take the bait. Otherwise, she would not have let her hair down in the elevator and made eyes at him while being all touchy by linking arms with him or leaning on him. The coy act was to display her charms to appeal to Elliot, who was the only one who could enjoy that treatment. One of her little entertainments after tying the knot was to see her husband being assertive. That was why he could not hold himself back against such temptations. However, he was oblivious of his wife's little ploy. After the long and deep night came the morning. The sunlight streamed upon a girl's beautiful face in the other room and woke her up. The first thing Sophia did after opening her eyes was to look at the man next to her. Little did she know that he had been watching her the whole time with a smile while propping himself sideways with his arms supporting his head. Naughty girl. The endearment escaped his sexy lips. Embarrassed, she covered her face with the blanket. "No, I'm not." "Well, you're right considering how many times you said stop last night." Arthur pulled her leg when he could. Her face turned crimson as she dared not recall what had happened last night. Everything felt so real since she was now sober, but she would never regret it. It was then that his arm wrapped around her body gently and he whispered sweet nothings into her ear. "I'll take responsibility for you for the rest of your life." She turned her head to meet at his determined gaze before smiling. "You don't have to be responsible for what happened last night." Arthur was baffled for a moment before staring at her nervously. "Sophia, what do you mean by that? Was last night merely a game to you?" She blinked her beady eyes. "Can we not think about the future just yet? Let's focus on the present and cherish it. I'm satisfied as long as you're by my side." It was because she dared not think of the future, which scared her. However, he was disheartened as he felt himself being played with. Sophia's cool manner had hurt him. "I'm going to the bathroom for a while," she said before getting out of bed. He removed the blanket to get out of the bed too, but his eyes were fixated onto the red stain on the bed. It tightened his heart and the strong resolution to take care of her surged in him. Regardless of her attitude, He had made up his mind to be her only toy in her lifetime. Feeling the water flowing from her head to toe, she was not sure if the droplets on her face were tears or water. When she came out with wet hair and reddened eyes, the hickeys on her exposed areas were visible. A startled Arthur came over and cupped her cheeks to take a closer look at her eyes. She then hastily lowered her head to dodge his gaze as she was afraid that he could see through her frail heart. "What's wrong with your eyes?" "They're red. The water must have gotten into my eyes. It kinda burns." Sophia simply glossed it over by making up an excuse while blinking her eyes profusely. "Let's go to the hospital," he suggested. No, she shook her head. "I'll buy an eye drop later. It should be fine." He cupped her face again to check on her eyes as his heart ached. "Stay here. I'll buy one for you right now." Having said that, he immediately changed his clothes and left. She did not stop him because her mind was in a mess as well. She figured that she might as well take the time to calm herself down. Once Arthur was gone, Sophia's eyes became teary again. When she gazed at the bed, a smile appeared on her lips as she knew she was not going to regret it forever. Even if he was not the one who would walk down the aisle with her, or even not walking down one at all, she acknowledged him as the man whom she loved the most in this lifetime. 15 minutes later, he rushed upstairs with every eye drop he could find in the drugstore. Momentarily stunned, she picked the one she normally used and asked him to help her with it before lying on the bed. He looked at her peaceful expression and landed a soft kiss on her forehead. He was not going to go anywhere, he would stay by her side until her eyes got better. At that moment, his phone rang before he looked at it with a frown. Although it was an important call, he did not answer it nevertheless. During noon, they had lunch with Elliot and Anastasia, and the atmosphere was great. While the women chatted away about jewelry, the men listened to them attentively. Then, Elliot accompanied Anastasia to the company to deal with some work, whereas Arthur and Sophia returned home. She was exhausted by the time they got home, so he stayed by her side until she drifted into dreamland. It was not until then that he made a phone call and the receiver picked up the line immediately. "Young Master Weiss, where are you? What's the matter?" 3 days ago, the family's bank account was short of 1 billion. We need you to come back to look into it. I'll leave it to you. Young Master Weiss, it's not only about the money. It's about the company's succession too. You must come over. The glint in Arthur's eyes simmered. All right. I'll return soon. Please be back within a week. You can trust me with that. After ending the call, he let out a sigh. In the next 3 days, Arthur and Sophia barely went downstairs other than mealtime. It was as if nothing could hinder their love after having broken through that intimate stage. Nothing mattered more than spending time together with each other. Back in Goodwin residence, Drake heard the news of Sophia's boyfriend from Emma, which sparked the curiosity of the man's identity. Although he could accept a guy with a normal background, it was important for him to be hard working in life. Since the family business would be taken over by Sophia, it was best for her to find someone who was capable in handling company affairs so as to lead a better life. Honey, I'm so curious about the guy. Why don't we take a look in secret? Emma had not been eating or sleeping well these days. Nothing seemed to pique her interest, yet she was eager to know what kind of man her daughter was dating. A parent would have to send their daughter away when they got married someday, and the elderly couple had come to terms with it. Not to mention that Sophia was turning 20 for this year, which was about the appropriate age to start thinking about marriage. Drake shared the same thought as well, and he nodded in agreement. I'll have someone positioned after them to capture some photos for us. We mustn't surprise them. Okay. Ask your assistant to do so. Tell him to take a clear picture of the man's face, not his back, requested Emma. At the drop of a hat, he contacted his assistant to hide at either the entrance of Sophia's neighborhood or the underground parking lot. As the pictures were compulsory to be delivered by today, the assistant hit the road instantly to accomplish his mission as ordered. On one hand, Sophia was cuddling in Arthur's arms on the couch at home, sniffing his scent as happiness filled her to the brim. He revealed his casual and gentle side of an ideal boyfriend to her, which was unknown to anyone else. The simple gray t-shirt looked captivating on him. Despite the ordinary fabric, it looked like a high-end custom-made design since he was wearing it. The aura of a young master dissipated as his fringe covered his forehead, making him look younger and more handsome. He could easily make one's heart skip a beat at first sight while looking like that. This explained why Sophia felt time was flying by so fast during the last 3 days she spent with Arthur. He was either hugging her the entire time or she was clinging on to him the rest of the hour. They basically could not leave each other's side. It was as if they had entrusted their whole world to each other. There was nothing else that bothered them besides their love. "Where do you want to go tomorrow?" "The amusement park." "Are you willing to go with me?" asked Sophia. Arthur kissed her lips in response and answered in a hoarse voice, "Of course, I am." She shoved him away bashfully. "Stop it." "Oh? Does my naughty girl not want it?" He teased her because of what had happened during the night she got drunk. She had dug her own grave for drinking that night with such naughty intentions. Now, the man kept calling her with that nickname in a teasing tone until it naturally became a term of endearment. How could Sophia rein in herself in the face of his charms? That was how the afternoon turned into a special one as he had transformed into a ravenous wolf. When the evening came, the big bad wolf finally took her out for a grand meal in order to compensate her. Sophia held Arthur's arm while exiting the elevator in the underground parking lot, where the hiding assistant quickly lifted the camera to take pictures of them as soon as he saw them without missing the chance. Fortunately, he did not let the opportunity slip through his fingers as the couple were all lovey-dovey in front of him. They played rock, paper, scissors, in which Arthur lost the game and had to carry Sophia on the back to the car. In the end, he carried her in his arms. She buried her face into his chest in embarrassment while thinking, "Thank goodness no one is here. It's so embarrassing." Never in her wildest dream had she expected the scene to be recorded by Drake's assistant, who sent it to her parents instantly. After the couple left, the assistant exclaimed in his head, "Miss Goodwin truly has an eye for men. Her boyfriend is really handsome." In the meantime, Drake and Emma had been waiting for the assistant's news at home. When Drake's phone rang, he answered it excitedly. "How did it go? Did you get any pictures?" "Mission accomplished, President Goodwin. I'll send the video over to you right now." "Congrats. Miss Goodwin's boyfriend is handsome and tall. They look so in love with each other. Enough of the talking. Hurry up and send it to me." He could not wait any longer. Standing next to him was Emma, clasping her hands together nervously. When she sat down beside him, his phone received a notification. He clicked on it and played the sent video. Since the lights were bright in the parking lot, they could easily recognize the man's face when Sophia was walking toward the camera while linking arms with him. "It's him?" Drake's eyes widened in astonishment as he found out that the man was none other than Arthur. Emma freaked out as well. After taking a closer look, she became anxious. Why is Sophia with him? He's not a good guy. She must be fooled by him. "Honey, we have to get her home immediately. We don't know anything about the Weisses. I reckon he's a mafia from abroad. Sophia must not be with him and I will never accept him as my son-in-law." He was so livid that his chest hurt. Just how did our lovely daughter end up with him? Arthur had never left a good impression on the couple since the first meeting, so it prompted a reasonable reaction. Emma thought the same too, seeing that Arthur somehow exuded the air of a mafia leader. Judging from how he visited with a group of bodyguards previously, it was highly possible that he was a dangerous person. At the same time, Sophia found herself in a tip-top restaurant in the city center and began to worry if Arthur's bank account would empty after the meal. "Are you really sure you want to eat here? It looks pretty expensive," Sophia whispered. Arthur couldn't help but chuckle to himself upon hearing so. "What's up? Are you already starting to think about my spending when you have yet to become my wife?" After a split-second stump, Sophia rolled her eyes at him while smiling. "Yes, we're spending your money, but it still pains me to see you spending like this. I'm worried you'll use up all of your money." Arthur felt somewhat speechless, for this young woman really knew nothing about his ancestry. Of course, he had no plans of telling her now either. "Don't worry. It's not a big deal even if we eat here every day." Right when Sophia was enjoying her meal, her ringtone suddenly sounded like an incantation. She jolted upon seeing the caller ID as it was her mother. "I'm going to have to take this, but don't make a sound, okay?" "It's my mom," explained Sophia as she hushed the man sitting across from her. Arthur nodded in reply and kept quiet, not wanting to cause her any trouble. She answered the call. "Hey, Mom." "Sophia, where are you right now?" "Come home this instant. Your dad and I need to speak to you urgently." "What is it?" "Are you okay, Mom? Is it Dad?" Sophia grew concerned. "Nothing happened to us. We just have something urgent to talk to you about. Come home quickly. We're waiting for you at home." "Okay. I'll come home at 2:00 p.m., all right?" "Sure. You have to come home, get it?" Emma ordered. She didn't mention anything about Sophia's relationship with Arthur, for she knew the two were together as they spoke. Emma and Drake just wanted to keep Sophia in line. As for others, there was nothing they could do. "My mom wants me to go home for a bit." "All right, I'll send you home later." "No, it's fine. I'll drive. I'll drop you off at my place first." Sophia planned to hide Arthur for fear that her parents would discover him. "Sophia, I think we should plan a date to meet your parents." Arthur was more than ready to face her parents. "Let's not do that just yet. I'll find out what they think about it first." After all, she knew all too well how her parents thought of Arthur. After finishing their meal, she dropped him off at her place before heading to her parents'. During the journey, she kept wondering if something had happened for her mom and dad to call her home so urgently, so much so that she arrived without delay. Right as she entered the living room, she found her parents sitting gravely on the couch, looking like they were expecting to see her home. In fact, it looked as though they had been waiting long. "Mom, Dad, what is it?" Sophia couldn't help feeling apprehensive. It had been a long time since she last saw this kind of expression on her parents. They didn't even pull this countenance when she made a huge mistake as a child. "Come here, Sophia," Emma called out to her sternly. "We have something to ask you." Sophia instantly tensed up as she walked over and sat across from them. Suddenly, Drake slammed his hand on the armrest. "Tell me the truth, Sophia. Are you living with that guy named Weiss at your place?" Sophia still wasn't mentally prepared when she heard her parents exposing her affair with Arthur, and her face flushed in an instant, not daring to look straight into her parents' eyes. "How did you guys find out?" Livid, Emma went up to Sophia and wanted to give her a good beating. Ultimately, she couldn't bring herself to do so, letting her arm hang mid-air for a few seconds before lowering it. "What is up with you? There are so many good men out there, why do you have to be with that dude? Has his good looks made you chuck your rationality out the window?" Seeing that things were now out in the open, Sophia knew she could only admit it. "That's right, Mom and Dad. We're dating. Are you not at all aware of what sort of person he is? It's so blindly obvious that he's from a shady background. Who knows, he might be a money launderer or even someone from the underworld. No good will come out of this if you date someone like him." Emma was livid with oncoming tears. She couldn't believe the daughter she had raised so assiduously was lured away by some man so easily.
Thank you for listening. If you have enjoyed this story, please like and share so others can see it too. Also hit the subscription button and notification bell so you can be notified on our next release. Thank you for your support. God bless you.